Now, after we wrapped up on Friday from Atlanta during Super Bowl week, I walked around Media Row trying to get recognized, as I always do.
Usual.
People said a couple things to me. When those quarterbacks throw the ball at your head, is it really coming fast? Yes, it is. The other thing that everybody said was, what happened during the Kyler Murray interview?
Okay, so for those who didn't watch the Dan Patrick show the other day, we had Kyler Murray on, the former Oklahoma quarterback, who might be playing baseball for the A's, might be playing football. He has not declared for either. And, everyone's asking similar questions, it's fair to say. When you say Seton, Dan wants to know what he's doing. Give us a hint. Or maybe even with Dan, he wants to know more about the process of your decision-making, because I don't think Kyler Murray's going to come out going, you know what, Dan, you got me. I'm going to play football. You got me. I'm going to play for the A's.
Well, it's not like these questions could have snuck up on him.
Right.
I mean, it was like it's the one thing everybody wants to know about Kyler Murray is what are you going to do? It's not a surprise to anybody.
So Dan's asking pretty benign questions like, what are your thoughts about having a pro day? Or what are your thoughts about you have to report to the A's on February 15th? What's going on there? And again, Dan wants to know more about the process. What are you thinking right now? Because you're not getting the announcement. There are points in the interview where Kyler Murray just did not respond. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders, and Dan's like, we're on the air, and you got a mic in front of you, and it's awkward and funny in that order, more awkward than funny.
Dan walked a fine line because I think a lot of interviewers would have just let it go.
Right.
Dan did not, but I didn't think Dan was overly harsh. He gave Kyler Murray every chance to answer that in a way that was not problematic for him, and he just never jumped on it.
Again, we were obviously partial to Dan, but hopefully we're objective. They were not baiting questions. They were not questions that were coming out of nowhere.
Okay, so if we're going to read into the way Kyler handled these questions, right, does that make you think one way or the other that he is going to the NFL draft or that he's just going to stay in baseball? I mean, is he tipping his hand at all?
I got two parts to this. First, I think Kyler Murray's agent, who is a baseball agent, Scott Boras, and the biggest baseball agent, would prefer baseball because that's what he does, and that's where the gigantic guaranteed money is. I believe that Kyler Murray and his people are leveraging the NFL to get the most out of the A's to double their offer because they've got them kind of got him by the you-know-what. He could bail on the A's and leave them with nothing and pay a little bit of money back. Kyler Murray has money either way. So I think they're trying to leverage the A's, maybe even for the A's to trade them to a bigger, better franchise. What I think happened with the interview last week is that Kyler Murray's people, whether it be his father, his manager, his agent, said, give them nothing. Just don't tell them what you're doing. Keep it. And Kyler Murray's not adept at this as far as I should say experienced at this. He's a good kid, very fun to talk to. But I don't think he was ready in his mind for pointed questions, but he didn't have the script ready of hey, we're still working on the process and we'll let you know as soon as we know.
Exactly. There was so many things he could have said, so many ways he could have treated it instead of just staying silent. He came across really bad, and his sponsor, I guess it was Gatorade. I thought for a minute that Dan was just going to say and just kind of pull the plug on it, kind of like a Qualcomm situation. Okay, we got your Gatorade plug-in. Thanks for coming by. Take care, Kyler. Because it got to the point where it was getting so awkward. It was putting Dan and the show in a bad spot. Everybody was looking bad. He was pulled as many teeth as he could out of him, and he just getting nothing.
It's never a good sign if Dan says in the middle of the interview, that microphone works. That's not a good sign.
What did you guys think of how big he was? Because that's obviously the rap coming in the draft, that he's too small to take punishment in the NFL.
To me, that's the least important thing. He's maybe a half an inch shorter than Russell Wilson. He could either play it or not, because Russell can't see over the line either. And a half an inch taller, or let's say Kyler Murray were a full inch taller, he still can't see over the line.
Did you guys see when he threw the ball around? I mean, it came out of his hand like a missile.
Oh, my gosh.
That Aaron Rodgers is the hardest I've ever seen.
He let his throwing do the talking. You're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you could see the baseball in him a little bit because he can turn that double play. Oh, man.
We got a lot of bad reaction for Kyler Murray on social media, and a lot of other media outlets picked up the story. Do you think there's any actual fallout from his performance on the show? Because do NFL teams look at this and say, wow, this kid is indecisive? And then, again, it doesn't translate to on the field. But do you think there's any actual fallouts from the interview?
I would say just the opposite. It'd be like, that kid is a lockbox. That's exactly the guy I want
he's trustworthy.
That's exactly the guy I want in my locker room. He doesn't say anything. It takes all the heat from it. Great.
This is a league where the coach of the Super Bowl winning team famously said, on to Cincinnati. See, it's exactly right. The less you say as a quarterback, why would you want your quarterback giving out information?
Yeah, he actually shot up 5 spots in mock drafts just based off that.
Okay, so Kyler Murray, I think, has to, not exactly declare, put 2 hats in front of him, but I think it's February 15th. He has to show up to A's camp, where the A's can claw back the money if he does any other sport, participates in anything. Who wants a piece of which side? Baseball, football? Not what's he going to play long term, but the immediate declaration of what he's going to play. Fritzy?
I am going to go football. I think that's somehow his true love, and he's curious to see where he's going to go in the draft. And even though there's all kinds of baseball money there, I'm going to say football.
Yeah, I think he's going football too.
I agree with you, Paulie, that it felt like after the interview that it might be baseball, but I think he has to play football.
I think he should play football because he can get a truckload of marketing money up front. He's a very novel player because of his size and being a Heisman winner and how exciting he is to watch. I think his agents are going to triple his bonus to maybe 10 plus million from the A's, and he'll become an A.
Like, I feel like it's worth pointing out that the money that he was getting last week is football money.
Yes.
I know that he's a baseball player, but he's doing rounds during football, and right now nobody thinks of him as a baseball player. Nobody, except for the A's and his agent. Nobody thinks of that kid as a baseball player. He's already collecting football money.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.